Well, hello, everybody. I'm going to be acting as this guy on camera here. You know, by this day in IBC, you know, my feet start to hurt. I just get so angry, the pain. Ah! How you guys doing today? Awesome. My name is Karl Soule, and I'm going to be demonstrating over the next half hour a tool that we introduced last year in kind of a preview edition. This is some new technology that we've been working on here at Adobe, and this is designed to take 2D artwork and animate that 2D artwork very easily, allow you to record and bring animations to life. So this works with art from Photoshop, from Illustrator, and you can actually bring in an Illustrator file or a Photoshop file into this application. Now, the way to get this application, this is currently in a preview version. It's what we're calling Preview 4 is currently available, and you're not going to find this application when you go to your Creative Cloud and you look for apps. But here's the secret. Every one of you can go home tonight and start playing with this if you're a Creative Cloud member. Simply download and install Adobe After Effects. After Effects will install Adobe Character Animator as well, and then just look in your applications or your program files folder and you'll find this Adobe Character Animator, what I'm showing you here today. Now, the idea behind this, you can see right now I'm already doing some animation work. In fact, I can grab this guy's hand, and if I bring it over here, I can maybe rub my belly a little bit. Oh, I ate too much today. It's like, I'm really heartburn. Oh, sorry about that. So there's a number of things that are going on right now. You're seeing this artwork is actually tracking my face. I can look around, and this character actually moves and looks around a little bit with me. You can see I was moving the hands by using my mouse to kind of grab and create gestures with the hands. And you can also see there are procedural animations. So when I tap the R key on the keyboard, this creates a set of procedural animations that are happening. The core of Character Animator is all about using Photoshop files or Illustrator files. And what we're actually looking at here, if I go in and I open up this puppet, not this one, this one. You can see that there's a series of layers here with a head layer, the body. Basically, the artwork for this puppet was broken out into layers. And if I want to see the original file that came into Character Animator, all I have to do is choose Edit Original, and I can see right away this was an Illustrator document. It's going to open up in Illustrator. And it's a live connection between Illustrator or Photoshop. So if you bring in a PSD file, this would open up in Photoshop. Here it's an Illustrator file, it opens up in Illustrator. And I can see by bringing up the Layers panel, these are all the layers within the Illustrator document. So if I wanted to make changes to this, at any point in the process, I can go in and actually make changes to the artwork. There are some tutorials online about how to break up your artwork in such a way that when you bring that file into Character Animator, the rigging will automatically happen. There's no additional work necessary. If you need to get started in Character Animator, I'll go ahead and quit Illustrator for a second here. You can come in and actually choose to create a new puppet in either Photoshop or Illustrator. So we've seen Illustrator. Let's go ahead and create a new puppet in Photoshop. And this will automatically create some temporary artwork in Character Animator in a new Photoshop file. And again, now you can see all of the different layers that make up this puppet. So the head has, the eyebrows are separated out, the nose is separated out. The mouth actually has a series of different pieces of artwork based on different sounds. So, by saying new puppet in Photoshop, it's given me a PSD file as sort of a template that I can work with. And if I already have character artwork, I can start to drag and replace this placeholder artwork with my own artwork, with my own character. So this will work with any PSD file or any Illustrator document. Now if I make changes here and save them, they would update over here in Character Animator. If for some reason the rigging's not coming through correctly or you've named your layers in a different structure, you can go into Character Animator. I'll go ahead and open up my Photoshop puppet, and it's possible to go in and make changes to the rigging here inside of Character Animator. Over on this right-hand side, you'll see that we have a tagging panel for all the different bits and pieces of a character. We can choose to select where the face layer is, the eyes, the nose, the mouth. We can actually do this for multiple views. Each face can have a forward view, a 3/4 view, a left view, a right 3/4 view. You can have all of these different views, even up and down views, so your character can actually look up and down. Now the core technology that's kind of driving this is a little bit scary. I'm going to turn off my webcam and my microphone for a second. Let's go ahead and make that panel full screen. Now let me turn on my camera. That's really, really disturbing, isn't it? So, in order to set this up, you need a webcam and a microphone. And one of the first things to do, there's a button here called Set Rest Pose. So by clicking this button, I'm basically saying this is my starting position for my animation. And if I go back to my puppet, this is now my starting position for my puppet. So if I move my head to the right, move my head to the left, and as far as my mouth motion is concerned, this is just happening automatically. It is detecting phonemes from my speech. So this is not language dependent. This is using common sounds across multiple languages. If I go into the mouth, you will see all the different 13 positions of the mouth that can exist within a Character Animator puppet. So I can have different mouth shapes for ah, d, e, f, ul, o, So these are all common. And then in addition to this, I can also have a neutral expression, a smile, and even a surprised expression. So even if I'm not talking, I can actually make the character smile. Yeah, a little loud in here. Okay. Let me switch over to a different project here. I want to show you a couple of other examples of things that you can do with Character Animator. It's been an exciting year for us with this application. I can just talk while I'm kind of walking down the street here. Character Animator was actually featured on The Simpsons. That's right. Last year, or earlier this year, The Simpsons actually did a 3-minute live section. They did multiple broadcasts where Homer Simpson took live questions on network television. And the program that was used to drive this was Character Animator, a preview version of Character Animator. So in addition to recording to a file, it is possible to use Character Animator in a live environment. And we've seen a couple of different examples of this on network television in North America. One of the late night talk shows can no longer get access to some of the presidential candidates. So if you Google cartoon Donald Trump or cartoon Hillary Clinton, you can see examples of Character Animator being used interacting with a live talk show host, animating the character in real time. Now, this particular puppet, you'll notice, if I press certain keys, here I have a walk cycle, and we've actually put the instructions for this this character are listed right up here in the top. So A, S, D, F, and G are all different keystrokes to fire off different preset animations. So if I press the G key, stop. I want you to use all of this in Character Animator. I can actually go through and have all of those programmed and fire them off using the keyboard. If I go in and look at this puppet, here's Wonder Boy. You can see all the different layers for what we call walk cycles. These are cycled animations. This is 8 frames of an animation to create that illusion of the character walking. Or moving to the stop position and holding out the hand with the stop gesture. Again, that's 3 layers that are doing that, and they're all assigned to different keyboard shortcuts. We make it easy to add to your artwork so that you can actually create and add these cycles to an existing Photoshop file very easily. What I'm going to do right now is I want to put a fireball in Wonder Boy's hands here. So I'm going to add a cycle to my puppet, and I've got a fireball here. I'm going to go ahead and select that and click open, and that's going to create this this fireball. Now, to really show this off, I'm going to switch Wonder Boy's body so that I can see the ta-da cycle where his hand is out, and I can just move this over and place it where I need it to be. And with this selected, I can come in and start to work with behaviors. How do I want this fireball to react? The behaviors inside of Character Animator are basically they're preset behaviors that let me do things to help bring this two-dimensional artwork to life. Some examples that are built in here: auto blink. If I want to make the eyes just randomly blink without having to be tracked to my own eyes and when I blink, I can set that up. Breathe is a behavior which takes the body of the character and puts a little bit of an expansion and a contraction, and you can control that behavior, which brings the character to life. It really makes the character look like they're breathing in and out slightly. There's other ones in here dealing with, if you don't want to do all the different shape for the mouth, if you want to do this kind of South Park style with more like a nutcracker jaw, there's actually a preset in here for nutcracker jaw as well, if you just want to kind of cut out a mouth and have the mouth just kind of open and close. So all depending on the type of character you want to create. This has automatically added a behavior for me called cycle layers, and if I twirl that down, I can make some choices on how this fireball will now be animated. So I want this fireball to start when triggered. I want it to go in layer order, top to bottom. And instead of cycling once, I want it to just continue to repeat. Now I need to assign a keyboard trigger to this. I don't have a keyboard trigger assigned to this yet. So what I'm going to do is go back up here, and you'll notice that one of the columns inside the puppet has a little keyboard icon. So by clicking here, let's assign this to the M key as an example. So now I've just added this fireball. I'm going to say, I'm going to create a fireball. And you can see I've just added this via a keyboard trigger. I've taken independent artwork and added it to my puppet. Now by doing this, you're obviously starting to move away from the first import of the file. Remember, this started as a Photoshop file, was brought in, we made sure the rigging was set up, maybe made some changes with the tagging panel. Now we've added additional artwork to the puppet. If you do this a lot, that Photoshop file, if you want to hand off this character to somebody else, just giving them the Photoshop file means they now have to reconnect all these bits and pieces. So we wanted to make it easier for people to be able to package up their puppet and save their puppet as a single file. So new in this new release that's coming soon, we're finally moving from what we call preview mode to beta mode. So at the top of the software, if you look at your version today, it'll say preview. It now will say beta in the near future. And don't worry, Character Animator still loves you. It says so right on the screen. We can now, in this new version coming soon, we can export out an entire puppet. And this creates a standalone file called a .puppet file that you can very easily share with other people. So if I want to package up Wonder Boy to use Wonder Boy later, all I have to do is choose Export Puppet. Let's go ahead and put Wonder Boy on the desktop, and I'll call it Wonder Boy Fire! And hit save. And this will then take all of those different layers. It's taking the PNG artwork that I've created and added to the original PSD artwork, and it's packaged all of that up into a single file now on the desktop called, looks like somebody else did one of these earlier, wonderboyfire.puppet. So that .puppet file can be very easy to transfer over to somebody else. I could put this in my Creative Cloud files and then share it with another animator somewhere else in the world, and they would have that puppet and then could do things with it from there. Now, another thing that we've been hearing from people, I'm going to go ahead and open a different project here. A lot of times people have a library of different mouths, different eyes, different facial features, and they want to be able to easily reuse those facial features from one puppet to another and store them within a project file so that very quickly they can kind of mix and match and create different and newer puppets. So here we've got a puppet called Andrew. And Andrew's got his special safety helmet on with blinky lights. And I like Andrew in this scene. Go ahead and let this scene load up here. This can take just a second. I like Andrew in this scene, but oh, he's a little too friendly with Dr. Funkenstein there. Let's move over here. There we go. Right now, Andrew looks really, really normal. He's got a normal mouth, and this is sort of a laboratory. I want to do something kind of crazy with Andrew. I want to give him fangs. I want to make his mouth have fangs. So what I can do is look through any additional artwork that I might have. So maybe I'll switch over to my creatures. How about I give him a robot mouth? We can do that. I'm going to go into my robot rig. And you'll notice with this robot, I've got all the different layers here. I want to take this robot's mouth. Let's see what the robot mouth actually looks like. Let's go back to our scene. I'll go ahead and select the robot rig. Make sure the microphone is turned on. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and delete the audio recording that we had before. And we'll just delete these layers. I'll show you how those work in just a second here. There we go. So if I wanted to actually take the robot's mouth and move it and put it onto Andrew, I can actually open up the robot rig, select the mouth, and say promote for reuse in the project. So by doing this, this will actually create and move the mouth up into the project as a separate draggable object. So I can now reuse the robot's mouth onto a different puppet. So at this point I can open up Andrew, and inside of Andrew's puppet we'll just go ahead and hide Andrew's original mouth, and I can drag this and drop this right in over the top of Andrew's mouth. And using the controls in here, I can go in and position this where I want. And you can see that this still has all of the different layers, all of the different mouth shapes come across at the same time. And at this point, if I go back to the Andrew and Funkenstein project, you can see it's preparing to make the changes. Taking just a second. Up, there's the Funkenstein rig. And now I've taken the mouth from the robot, and Andrew looks really, he doesn't look happy about it, but we've taken the artwork from the robot and actually added it into Andrew's puppet moving forward. So there's quite a lot that you can do with this. Just going back and forth, mixing and matching parts. Again, this is a new feature coming soon to Character Animator in the next release. Now I'm going to go back to my creatures, because we really haven't talked too much about recording. So let's say I want to take this four-eyed monster, and by the way, you'll notice that all four eyes blink when I blink. If I want to actually start recording, It is possible to record everything in one single pass. I could hit the record button and I could speak my dialogue and I could blink and I could move my character around and I could even grab the tentacles and move the tentacles around here all at the same time. If you're that good, you can do this professionally for the rest of your life. Unfortunately, most of us can only concentrate on one or two tasks at a time, and to get a really good vocal performance, maybe I just want to do the vocal recording in my first pass, and then my second pass, I want to get the blinks at exactly the right time in my dialogue. You'll notice over on the right-hand side of Character Animator, each of the different behaviors has a red dot associated with it. And if you roll your mouse over it, it'll tell you these are the behaviors that are currently armed for recording. So you can do multi-pass recording inside of Character Animator. So maybe the first time that I'm working with this, I only want to deal with the draggers. I only want to get the motion of the tentacles down. So in this case, I could turn everything else off so that I don't have to worry about getting the lip sync right. I don't have to worry about where the eyes are looking. I can just focus on recording the motion of this tentacle. So we'll go ahead and hit record. And then at this point, I can kind of say I want to wiggle this tentacle around a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and hit stop. Now you can see that is actually given me an audio recording as well as the motion of the tentacle. So if I roll this back, you can actually see the tentacle actually wiggling around and moving based on what I just recorded. I can kind of say I want to wiggle this tentacle around. Let's go ahead and kill the audio there. Now I have the ability to move this around. I could actually move this take around. Let's go ahead and do a second pass. And for this one, what I want to do is actually select the robot. And on the robot, I only want to use the dragger and the keyboard triggers. So let's go ahead and do a pass with just the robot. I'll hit record. Now this robot, with the robot selected, I can click the C key to generate clicky clamps. And I can press the F key for fire. So what I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and hit record, and I'm going to grab this and try and grab it at his tentacle a little bit. And then we'll fire off the fire and stop. Now in this particular version, in this new version of the software, one of the things that we have done is separated out a lot of these different behaviors. Eye gaze, you'll notice, is now a separate behavior from the mouth, from the face, because that's also very important. If you're actually animating the eyes, it can be difficult when you're trying to get the face positioned right to actually animate the eyes. You can do them as separate passes now. For keyboard triggers, you'll notice that each of the keyboard triggers is actually a separate layer. So I can even come in here now and select individual pieces of this. And if I wanted to move the clamps over a little bit to kind of offset them in time, I could go ahead and do that. Now you can see the two puppets are actually animating at the same time. So you can take as many passes as you need to create your animation inside of Character Animator. Even better, sometimes you get half of a good take. You know, if you've ever been on camera before in spoken dialogue, there's too many times where you get through an entire paragraph and it's the best read ever, and then you have to sneeze on the last word. Definitely that can be a problem in here. Rather than having to go through and do traditional editing to make that happen, it's possible in Character Animator to use what are called blend takes. So this is an easy way of kind of creating a punch-in, punch-out scenario where you can do a different take and actually blend the different takes together. So it's taking the keyframe information that it's generated from one take, and you can pick a certain point to seamlessly move into another take, and that way it can blend these different animations together. All right, the last thing that I'll show you inside of Character Animator is when it's time to export this out, there's a couple of different ways of doing this. It's possible to use there's a little trick inside of After Effects for getting this over into After Effects, but a lot of people like to be able to go directly out to a video file. If you choose, you can output over to Adobe Media Encoder, and even though this says H.264 here, once you get this over into Media Encoder, this will actually launch Media Encoder. It'll bring the file over in, so you can see there is the Character Animator logo, and this file is now ready to go out as a video clip. If you don't want H.264 at this point, just change it to whatever format you want. So you can export out of Character Animator in different formats, everything from broadcast standards. If for some reason you were doing feature film work, you could actually save this directly to a DCP file and have a DCP file ready to go to a film festival. Now, Character Animator is not 100% done yet. We still, right now, today, people are using the preview version of this, but very soon we are moving from preview to beta, so we are starting to get very, very close to the feature set for the final release, where this will become a full-fledged application with Creative Cloud. If you want to use this today, simply go to your Creative Cloud desktop application and once again download After Effects CC, and After Effects CC will also install the preview version of Character Animator. I hope a lot of you get excited about this and go home and kind of play around with this, because again, anybody who has 2D artwork, if you want to bring that artwork to life, this is a lot of fun. And it also, it's the only application Adobe has ever made that makes me want to talk in crazy voices in front of people like you. So thank you guys so much. We have another wonderful speaker coming up next. Thanks again.